activity with our laboratory condition function. Okay, so you can see here the diagram. So starting from the brain, she looks like the another will be releasing hormone, and then it will have feedback mechanism of the pituitary. Then the pituitary section here will secrete the hormones, folic acid or FSH and then it should then the LH will exert its effort for nucleating cells to produce the testosterone, and the testosterone will produce the secondary effects. Okay? So we go here to the FSH, it will stimulate the Sertoli cells and will induce the spermatogenesis. How do we regulate the male reproductive system or male reproduction? So we have the gonadotropin releasing hormone, and then your FSH. So as I mentioned, the FSH will induce the Sertoli cells to synthesize and secrete the ABP or the androgen binding to the lumen of the seminiferous tubes. And it will maintain a high testosterone levels or normal spermatogenesis to happen. LH will induce the Leydig cells to secrete testosterone. Then your inhibin. Inhibin is synthesized by Sertoli cells, will interact with gonadotropes, where it has a negative feedback effect. It decreases the synthesis and secretion of FSH and LH. Okay. So both FSH and LH are similar to TSH. These three consist of three subunits in which they share the same alpha subunit, but they have a different beta subunit. So this would spell out the difference in their functional specificity. So here's a picture showing the sperm and then going to the ovum or the eggs. So for the male, the test for reproductive capacity is done through semen analysis. So what are the indications or the purpose of semen analysis? To evaluate reproductive function, especially fertility, to select donors for therapeutic insemination, to monitor success of surgical procedures like varicocelectomy and vasectomy. So it is said that semen analysis is cost-effective and simple procedure. So if the sperm analysis would have abnormal results, there is a need for hormonal analysis. So how do we collect the sample? The patient will be instructed to have 3 days of sexual abstinence, and then the semen must be delivered to the lab within an hour of collection, and it should be kept warm during transportation. And then it has to have a post-ejaculate urine sample done through retrograde ejaculation. And there should be 2 specimens collected within 2 to 3 weeks. So macroscopic exam. So the analysis should be done after liquefaction. So less than 20 minutes of room temperature. If there is a failure to liquefy, it is suggestive of inadequate prostate secretion. So one must record the viscosity and the volume of the ejaculate. If there is presence of a yellow hue, it can mean bias for so past in the sperm. And then rusty color, there is a possible bleeding in the seminal vesicle. Okay, for pH, the normal pH is 7.8. So if it is above, if it is 8 or above, there can be acute infection in the prostate, seminal vesicle. If the pH is 7 or lower, it can be said to have contamination with urine. or obstruction in the ejaculatory ducts, and the specimen consists of mainly staph. So here, so a healthy mature sperm will have a normal shaped head, neck, and tail. So let's go to the head. So the covering of the sperm head, the function is to stick the sperm into the egg and to penetrate the egg. No? So the sperm head contains tightly packed DNA, contains the genetic material, of course you know that. And then the sheath or the around the neck region provides the energy. And the tail, no, it will allow movement, a motion, locomotion. So for the microscopic exam, so we do sperm count using the hemocytometer or microchamber found on top on my right. So at least 4 different fields in each of the 2 specimen should be counted, and you get the mean or the average of the 8 separate means. You record that. The total sperm count is calculated by multiplying the dilution factor. The normal concentration would range from 20 to 50 million per ml. You compute you multiply the dilution factor by the volume. So the normal volume should be around 2 to 5 ml. So for the sperm motility, normal range should have 50% of up or above. And there should be forward movement that would be graded. So grade 1 or 0 to grade 4. 0 progression, there is absence of any motility. Grade 1, no forward progression. In between yung 2 and 3. And 4 is moving in a straight line with little yaw or lateral movement. Okay. So if the motility is less than 50%, because we want to have it 50% or higher, we do the viability stain, no? With eosin Y and microcin as the counter stain. And then using bright field microscopy, the dead sperm will stain red, whereas the live sperm, if the sperm is alive, it will exclude the dye and it will appear as unstained. So if we have samples with no visible stain, the entire specimen should be centrifuge, and we examine that for intact or damaged sperm fragments. And then we ask the patient, the male patient, to repeat that within 4 to 6 months. Okay, next is sperm agglutination. So this is to check if there is an immunologic cause of infertility. So it is said that motile sperms stick to each other, whether head to head, tail to tail, mid-piece to mid-piece, or mixed ways. Huh? So it should be distinguished, the agglutination should be distinguished from clamping due to bacterial infection of tissue debris. It typically involves non-specific orientation of the sperm. So for the cellular elements, when we do cytology, we see the polygonal cells, the tract, as well as the round cells. So these round cells represent immature germ cells, and also we can see the polymorphonuclear leukocytes that at least more than 50% of the sperm in the semen specimen should exhibit normal morphology. So no abnormalities in all of the parts or segments of the sperm, no? Whether it's a head, a piece, a tail. So we have this Teratozoospasmic index, which is the average number of defects per sperm. So it should be remembered that the acrosomal cap is less than 1/3 of the head surface, not too big or not too small. And there is retention of the cytoplasmic droplet of more than half of the head size, and the tail is more or less not less than 45 micrometers. So this is the sperm morphology. So you have the head, the midpiece, the cup, and then the tail. So this would pertain to abnormal sperm morphology. So we can have round cells, can have vacuoles, no, in the head, broken ang tail, large piece, or tapered sperm ends. So again, the most obvious characteristic if we are dealing with the abnormal sperm is the variability in the size of the acrosomal cup. Is the most obvious characteristic of abnormal sperm. So here we have the normal form as shown here. And then we have the abnormal sperm. So we can have an abnormal giant, no? Yung malaki, itong the one here beside the normal oval form, the giant head. Next is the micro, so very small naman. And then double head, no? You see that here, no? Double head. And then you have the double naman ang body, no? Parang braided, and then long head, no? Parang tapering head. Rough head, and the abnormal middle piece, no? Long middle. So these are some forms of abnormal sperm morphology. At times they can be mixed, no? They can appear in just one sperm with not just one abnormality. So let's go to immunologic tests. So the sperm antibody binding to head or tail antigens is considered specific for immunologic infertility. So we do this now again, antigen antibody, no? The principle behind this immunologic test. Antibodies are usually of the IgA or IgG classes, rarely IgM. So we have direct or indirect mixed agglutination reaction or MAR for IgG or IgA, and also immunobead assay. It will detect all three Ig classes, no? IgG, IgA, and sometimes IgM. So beads, we're talking about beads now. The beads are coated with monospecific anti-serum to each of these immunoglobulin classes. So we have here a list of risk of men. These are conditions wherein the men would be at a higher risk for developing sperm antibody. Those who underwent vasectomy, no, as a form of contraception, natural, recurrent infection of the reproductive tract, obstruction of the secretory ducts, cryptorchidism or undescended testes, varicocele, those who underwent vesicular biopsy, trauma to the genitalia, torsion, cancer, and those with genetic predisposition. Okay, so among women, sperm antibodies usually associated with intense mucosal inflammation of the genital tract. So the E. coli cause sperm agglutination and immobilization. So there is adherence to the sperm. It is mediated by mannose, and mannose binding cell surface structures present on both cell types. So we have here those with mannose and those with no sugar. Okay. So for the accessory glands, namely the prostate, seminal vesicle, and the epididymis, when the pH is alkaline, no? So 8 and higher. So, and there is also reduced acid phosphatase, we can think of prostatic dysfunction. So those with low fructose, as when we have low volume, no, and then we do the fructose test, if the fructose level is low, we can think of dysgenesis of the seminal vesicles. So for low volume, less than 2 ml, so there can be an ejaculatory duct obstruction or agenesis, so failure of development of vas deferens or seminal vesicles. And for this neutral alpha glucosidase, this originates solely from epididymis. So they said that if we measure this enzyme, it is of diagnostic value in ductal obstruction. So if multiple sperm analysis would demonstrate azoospermia, so 0, no, sperm, or oligospermia, meaning less than 20 million sperms per ml of the semen or other abnormality, it is mandated that a hormone analysis is to be performed. So what are those hormones to be tested? Basal testosterone, LH, and FSH. Okay, so if we are thinking of primary gonadal failure, so in the presence of an oligo or a zoospermia, meaning uh, no sperm, no, or less than 20 milligram per ml, along with that, the hormonal studies have been done and it revealed decreased testosterone, but the LH and FSH are increased. We can think of a primary gonadal failure. So next to do is to have chromosomal analysis. So it can be normal or we can have the XXY variant, which is indicative of Klinefelter syndrome, which is seen there. No? We have the female type of like pubic hair, testicular parachute, but then so may breast, no? And then the management is we give androgen therapy. Whereas if we're thinking of secondary testicular failure, it can be a hypothalamic pituitary disease. Again, in the presence of oligo or azoospermia, with again decrease of testosterone, but the LH and FSH this time is not increased, or this one is normal or decreased. We can do administration of HCG. So we're thinking of a secondary testicular failure. So we give human chorionic gonadotropin if it interacts with LH receptors, and in males to stimulate the Leydig cells. So if they are normal, it will have to synthesize and secrete testosterone. Okay, so that's really normalized. So for such problem or condition working there is hypothalamic pituitary disease, the next hormone to be done is prolactin. And if it is increased, we can think of a primary hypothyroidism. So we check for the levels of TSH. So pag hypo, the TSH levels increase, no? And then the TRH, the thyroid releasing hormone, it stimulates their synthesis and secretion of prolactin. So the most common type of pituitary tumor in the presence of normal TSH, we can see this prolactin and it can be visualized using diagnostic imaging techniques. So we can see the mass in the anterior pituitary. So this is an example of prolactin. Most common siya among all the pituitary tumors. So you know that the pituitary gland is situated in the sella turcica sa brain. So how about normal naman testosterone level, normal na LH, FSH, but again, oligo or azoospermia. So all those hormonal analyses that we've done are normal. So we do the fructose evaluation of the cell. So absence of this fructose, there is congenital absence of vas deferens and central vesicles, and presence with mean ductal obstruction or spermatogen failure. So we can differentiate the two, no? By doing the testicular biopsy, although medyo invasive na siya, but then to really make sure that we're dealing with this, no? So we can do the testicular biopsy. So next, oligospermia pa rin, no? With normal testosterone, but this time, testosterone and LH, but the FSH is increased. It would suggest seminiferous tubule failure. So increased FSH is due to, most likely due to reduced negative feedback inhibition by decreased Sertoli cell inhibin. So that's another hormone as I mentioned ko earlier. So inhibin, meaning ano siya, negative feedback siya. No? So opposite of the action testosterone. So how about increase naman ng testosterone and LH pero normal FSH? So think of a possible primary hyperthyroidism or partial androgen insensitivity. So you can differentiate hyperthyroidism versus partial androgen insensitivity by doing the TSH na level, by measuring TSH. Kasi because in hyperthyroidism, of course, the TSH is low. Okay? So that's for the male. No? So let's go to the female. Siyempre, hindi naman pa yung mga females naman. So this is a picture of the ovulation cycle, no? You can also call it the menstrual cycle, no? So you know 0, 14, mid, no? 28 day cycle, and You can see yung uterine cycle, what happens in the uterus, the follicular and luteal phase, and of course, yung menstrual cycle. And then what happens to the ovarian hormones, both the estradiol and progesterone, no? Saan siya nagpipik, saan siya nag-wane. And also the anterior pituitary hormones, basically yung mga gonadotropes, na? Kasi that's what we are after. The rest of the pituitary hormones dahil nasa anterior lobe, we are concerned with the LH and FSH, okay? And then the body temperature, of course, tumataas din during ovulation, and the ovarian cycle. Na? So during ovulation, and then of course the secretory phase, or luteal phase, we have the corpus luteum, and then towards the non-reproductive, and we have corpus albicans. Na? So that's how it is interpreted. Of course, we do that from luteum. So how do we evaluate the female reproduction? So again, amenorrhea, which is the absence of menstrual flow, we always think of that as pregnancy, diba? That's the first thing that we think of. But of course, there are other reasons. And we can think of a genetic and or anatomic abnormality as part of amenorrhea. And also an endocrine abnormality. So we also need to, in the evaluation, no, of reproductive system of the female, we need to see the presence or absence of secondary sexual characteristics. Okay, so amenorrhea, so most objective if we measure the HCG level, human chorionic protein, if it is more than 5 milli international units per ml, we can think pregnancy, bronchoblastic disease, or HCG secreting tumor. If it is less than that volume, we do hormonal analysis. We measure the prolactin, TSH, and the free thyroid hormone, FT4. So measuring that, if the prolactin is high, but the TSH and FT4 is normal, we can check, no? We can do imaging of the pituitary gland, check for presence of prolactinoma or this mass, no? So if the prolactin is normal or high, and TSH and FT4 are abnormal, we can think of a thyroid disease. No? So, for example, normal naman lahat, prolactin, TSH, FT4. So we do another hormone testing or analysis, the endogenous estrogen status. So we do that, we can evaluate that by using the progestin withdrawal test. So this is how we do it. We give 5 to 7 days, no, per ORM or 1 IM injection, no, intramuscular this progestin. And if there is absence of withdrawal bleeding, we can do imaging of genitalia, no, to check if there is an outlet obstruction or if there is a congenital anomaly in the reproductive system, or if there are intrauterine lesions. Then we need to measure FSH and LH. If the FSH and LH are high, it is suggestive of primary ovarian failure. But if it is low or normal, we can think of hypothalamic pituitary disease. So again, normal pa rin siya, no? So, but if the withdrawal bleeding is present, we measure the androgen level, the testosterone, the estradiol, the progesterone. If the testosterone level is high, we evaluate for PCOS or polycystic ovarian syndrome or possible ovarian tumor. And if the PHEAS is high, we evaluate for adrenal tumor and hysteroid. And if there is high 17-hydroxyprogesterone, we evaluate for adrenal hypertension. So that's how yung progression, no, or the sequence of the hormonal analysis is being done. So what is luteal phase deficiency? It is infertility with apparently normal menses. Okay? So maturation of the secretory endometrium is delayed so that implantation of the blastocyst does not occur. So in the endometrial biopsy, if we read that, it is said to be out of phase, no? So parang hindi naman siya nasa proliferative stage siya, secretory, no? So and it is said to be of unknown mechanism. So but there are some who think that it is possible to have abnormal follicular development, ovulation, and or luteal function, resulting in suboptimal synthesis and secretion of estradiol and progesterone. So much for the evaluation of the production. So let's go to laboratory evaluation of pregnancy, which is part also as we are working up. We want to have infertility workup. So these are all the hormones, no? So HCG, progesterone, human placental lactogen and estrogen, no? And the corresponding weeks of pregnancy and their presence, no? And then the amount or the level, no? Of each of these hormones. So most important is the HCG or the human chorionic gonadotropin. So both are reliable predictors. Now we measure maternal serum and also urine levels. But most of the time, yung frog test that we think of or the pregnancy kit, no, it makes use of urine. Okay, but serum HCG increases above the reference typically 4 to 6 milli international units per ml by implantation and 6 to 12. No? Ang mean niya is 9.1 milli international units per ml. So 6 to 12, ay hindi pala, 4 to 6 yung makuha mo, no? By implantation, and then 6 to 12 days after ovulation. So mga 9 days na after ovulation, you can have a reliable measurement serum HCG. So better yung serum. No? So yung urine naman, ang detection limits niya is 20. So dito mas di ba, kasi kahit 4 to 6, pwede na, no? So here, 20. The usual home kits, no, or pregnancy kits would have 50 milli international units per ml. So it can detect the elevated urine HCG 2 to 3 days late na, no? So kung 9 ang mean, 9 days after ovulation or 2 to 3 days back later. So better HCG na serum. So serum HCG increases dramatically during the first trimester and it has a peak at about 10 weeks of gestation. If the levels continue to rise beyond 2 weeks, so pataas pa rin ang pataas, we consider thromboblastic tumor. So ito yung mga molar, no? H-mole, no? So estradiol and progesterone levels may provide additional information. There is low serum progesterone less than 15 nanograms per ml or the estradiol is less than 200 nanograms per ml is indicative of blighted water. No? 90% likelihood of a blighted water. Okay, so sa HCG of less than 1,000 milli international units per ml in a patient, so yun yung blighted ovum. Pag naman less than 1,000 milli international units per ml in a patient with vaginal bleeding, a progesterone concentration of less than 5 nanograms per ml is 94% predictive of an abnormal pregnancy. No? So progesterone and then HCG, no, less than 5 in progesterone, less than 1,000 naman HCG. 94% we are sure that we are dealing with an abnormal pregnancy. So when the HCG concentration exceeds 1,500 to 2,000 international units per ml, an intrauterine gestational sac becomes visible at ultrasound. So papa-ultrasound mo, and then pag may absence of sac, no, gestational sac or presence of adnexal mass will indicate a possible ectopic pregnancy. So meaning the hindi na implant sa uterus, but usually ang site is the fallopian tube. No? At doubling, pag nag-double up ang HCG in 2 to 3 days, it is, we think of 80% or greater than 80% probability that we are dealing with an intrauterine blood pressure. So dapat mag-double up, no? In 2 to 3 days. So pag nag-fail siya to double serum HCG, it suggests loss of pregnancy. Okay, so what are the other examinations related to pregnancy? Antiphospholipid, antibodies. So we see that in recurrent abortion in APAS, no? Antiphospholipid syndrome, antibody syndrome. Neural tube defects. So we measure the maternal serum MS, no? AFP alpha fetoprotein, and it is found to be increased. Sa Down syndrome, the MS-AFP is decreased, and also the unconjugated S3-1. But the HCG and inhibin A is increased. In erythroblastosis fetalis, monitoring of the amniotic fluid bilirubin, so it will determine the degree and progression of the hemolytic disease. So yung erythroblastosis is the hemolytic disease of the lymph. So what are the other examinations related to pregnancy? So yung mother can have gestational diabetes, so oral glucose tolerance test, not to monitor the blood sugar level of the mother because it will affect the baby, no? Pwedeng magkaroon ng fetal macrosomia or large babies, no? So usually pwedeng mas-CS, no? Cesarean section. Fetal lung maturity, the lecithin sphingomyelin ratio using thin layer chromatography. So it will measure, it will test, no, or tell us if the lung is mature enough, no? Because we need to have yung proper maturity of the lungs as the baby is being born. No? So less than 2, mature yan. No? From 1.5 to 2, borderline. And less than 1.5, the LS ratio is immature fetal lung maturity level. So let's go to toxemia on pregnancy, mga preeclampsia. No? So preeclampsia, hypertension with proteinuria of more than 0.3 grams per liter in a 24-hour specimen or greater than 1 per liter, 1 gram in a random specimen. So, ang blood picture niya, thrombocytopenia, erythrocytosis, mild to moderate increase in urea and urea, marked increase in uric acid and LPH. So, bilirubin mild increase and D-dimers increase with decreased calcium excretion. So, but basically, we see hypertensive patient, no, with proteinuria. At times, nag-edema siya because may proteinuria. So, hypoalbuminemia. And then, pag may seizure na, that's the time we call that eclampsia. So, PROM or premature rupture of membrane. So, the vaginal pH is 4.5 to 5.5 compared to your amniotic fluid pH, which is 7 to 7.5. So, using the nitrogen vapor, parang litmus paper test na positive is blue, negative is yellow-green color. We also observe the foreign pattern. Na? So there is increased fetal fibronectin, para siyang yung clot na thread-like foreign pattern, maternal plasma, amniotic fluid, or in cervicovaginal secretions. So thank you. We have any questions? So